Hello. All right, we're back. It's me, Melissa, and Nikita, and today we're talking about frequency of eating, which is an interesting topic from all the
Yeah,
things from intermittent fasting to 5 snacks, meals a day, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah.
Melissa, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Well, the reason I picked this topic is it's fascinating to me. I'm lucky I get to visit a lot of girlfriends' houses, and so I see people in their everyday, life. And it kind of struck me because when I do people's macros, like on the macro calculator, it that's one of the first questions is how many times. So it's spitting out a meal plan, right? So
Mhm.
the when I do someone's macro calculator, it's spitting out a whole plan, right? The grocery list and shopping and meal prep and all that kind of stuff. But it asks you how many times you want to eat, and people are like, wow, I guess I never thought about the fact that if I want to watch what I'm eating, that's kind of the first question is who am I? Do I snack all day long? Do I eat three squares? And there's different schools of thought for that, right? And so anecdotally, I know that some of the habits a lot of my friends pick up, which I feel like um, maybe have to do with activity, maybe just have to do with, and Amita, you can talk about this too, but like how your body processes, like how fast your metabolism is. I think that sort of shapes habits. And so people habitually eat all day long, little snacks here, little snacks there, or habitually they left to their own devices might eat twice, right? And so that's why I thought this would be interesting because Nikita, I think you would come at it, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but it'll be interesting for you to hear, for us to hear from someone who is, a fitness coach, what does food, how do you fuel your body? Um, how is that most efficient? I know me. So I did, so me personally, when I was in my 20s, I was in a marketing role. And so I had to travel. I traveled 70% of the time. I was always planes, trains, automobiles. And I got in this weird habit of, I kid you not, I would drink coffee all day long. So I would get a coffee when I got to the airport, get a coffee mid afternoon, and then I would eat a giant dinner.
Mhm.
That's it. That's it. Like that's the only time I eat was dinner. And I'd eat a giant, I say giant dinner, but I got used to that. My metabolism got used to that. And the weird part about it is I've struggled the whole rest of my life trying to get out of that habit. Because when I was pregnant, guess what my doctor said? I mean, Amita, you can tell me what my doctor
Yeah,
said.
I know. I'm sure it was for you to eat more and more often.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I think that's a common practice. So, Nikita, you tell me what your thoughts are on this, and we'll kind of go round robin.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on this topic because I've done all of the diets, the types of eating. Actually, as I was telling Amita 2 days ago, I started intermittent fasting, not because I'm trying to lose weight, but for different reasons. And I think a lot of women do it in order to lose weight. And however, fasting has its time and its place and its
Mm.
specific reasons. Whereas I've also done the 5, 6 small meals throughout the day. And that's usually when I'm training for a competition and I'm training 5 days per week. I am like Ferrari mode, I call it, like just go, go, go. My metabolism is very high. I've also tried like keto diet and all these kind of things. But for me personally, like I have tried fasting before and getting all those meals in that small window of time, like it's tough and it's a lot of food and I feel sluggish and I'm like kind of, it takes some time for your body to adjust, but it's not my favorite. I do like getting up, eating when I'm hungry. However, most of North America has the North American diet, which is, I call it, wake up and have coffee, right? And then that's a suppressant, an appetite suppressant. So right off the bat, you are sort of killing your body's natural system of saying, feed me. And also, if you're a woman wanting to build muscle, put on a bit of strength, and you're killing that that signal, it's not the most beneficial thing. So those are kind of my like general thoughts and experiences with it.
Yeah.
I do think eating, honestly, 3-4 meals per day, like medium-sized meals, is the most beneficial thing. And yeah, it's kind of my take.
Tell us your take, Dr. Kumar.
Oh man, I think it depends on
Because
the
I know
person.
who you are personally, and I know how you eat personally from a metabolic standpoint. What
I
does
know.
Dr. Kumar say?
So
Yeah.
I was just telling on myself like as before we started, because Nikita was my fitness/nutrition coach, and I was like, okay, I ate a banana, I ate some cottage cheese, probably 1.5 portion size. I've had some water, probably not as much as I need to so far today, and I have had half an apple. And she's like today? I'm like, yes. Today. I know, yes, exactly. So I guess, and I don't think there's a right answer, but I do think that remembering that food is fuel is probably one of the best pieces of whatever advice I ever heard. In fact, I think it was during my coaching program I heard it, like in my health coaching. Essentially, we're like, okay, you want to try something new? Think about food as fuel. So when you're eating, what are you eating and what fuel are you getting from it, right? Like, are you going to go to the gym where you need a quick carb? Are you going to go like 4 hours because you're going to be out all day? That was me this morning. So you need cottage cheese. And then, of course, you need to fill in your nutrients. That's a whole different thing, right? So along with the American wake up and have coffee diet, I think there's also this false sense of like, as long as I'm eating my vitamin one a day, I'm getting enough nutrients. And I think that's partly true. And I think that our food is not farm grown. So I don't think it's necessarily wrong to take a multivitamin, but I don't think that it should replace your meals. And I think that sometimes we have this tendency of, as long as I'm eating a vitamin, I can eat whatever else I want because my doctor checks my labs, everything is normal. So I do give this lecture of like, just because everything is normal doesn't mean you're healthy, right? Like, and so I'm going to say what I always say, which is everything in moderation, right? Like diet and exercise in moderation and all the things diet in moderation. I know that we can improve for certain things. Like you said, Nikita, I love that you said like different times in your life, you've done different things. And some of it, I've done a couple of different things. I'm really not good at following any strict diet plans. The only thing I've been decent at recently is my gluten-freeness. But I do end up eating more chips than I'd like because I crave carbs because I don't get enough carbs, right? And so even if I up my protein load, I still need carbs. And it's hard to get gluten-free carbs sometimes without eating like random things that are supposed to be gluten-free but taste like not gluten-free. Anyway, just so
well, I think that one of the things that for people who are I say the first step to I want to start making some drastic changes in my life. I always say the first step is just journaling and like writing down and keeping track of what you're doing. And so I think that for people, I mean, one thing, Amita, I would doubt seriously that, that like it's for you sitting down and writing down every single thing that you eat, it would be tedious, right? Because you're kind of a snack all day kind of person. And so I think the coaching part of me is I have one of my girlfriends, she said something about like we're not in preschool anymore, like snacks. We don't have to do snacks. Like just eat 3 squares. And then it's funny because then I have another girlfriend of mine who's like, the structured 6 small meals. Like I don't eat 3 big meals. I eat 6 small meals. And I think the bottom line is in the very beginning, it's just whatever works for you. I know that when I had to go on that, like I didn't have gestational diabetes, but I was prone to it, or I guess there were indicators that said I could be borderline, have some gestational diabetes issues with Maddie, because I didn't have Maddie until I was 41, right? And so that what I learned about having to keep my blood sugar level is I personally had to eat 6 meals. I'd eat 6 meals in the day. And in order to space that out, they had to be really small, or else it was like so much food. Like you said, Nikita, it's so much food at one sitting that in order for me to get my meal prep done, I knew I was going to eat 6 meals a day, and I was going to eat it at 8, 10, 12, so on, to make the math easy, to make my life not so crazy, and to plan, to plan it out ahead of time. So I wasn't feeling, overwhelmed by all the choices. So I encourage, and I don't even know if we have a timer. Oh yeah, we do. Okay, perfect. Do we? Is that a timer? I'm sorry. I don't have any idea how long we've been going.
We're at 11 minutes and 20 seconds.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know what I'm looking at for time. I don't know if
No
but yeah,
I just want to make sure we're under 15 minutes, just for the listeners, to keep this bite-sized enough. Nikita, tell me why you're actually intermittent fasting.
And I was just going to say, and also maybe people don't understand what intermittent fasting is. So quick overview, like real fast. What is intermittent fasting for those who haven't tried it?
So essentially you are not eating for a certain window of time, and then you are eating. The most popular window of time is not eating for 16 hours and then eating in the 8 hours. The important part is you should be getting all of your nutritional value, calories, carbs, macros in that 8 window period of time, which is difficult. So I believe 12 and 8 is what I'm sticking to. But for example, Dustin and we went out to eat really late the night before. So then next day I couldn't eat till 2 technically. So there's a little caveats with that. But the reason I'm doing it is because there are certain things that happen to your body when you are getting past that hunger level, that hunger state, which is good for your brain. And apparently, I haven't done my extensive research on this, but it can starve parasites that are in your body. So it is part of a detox and cleansing your colon, which, like, I'm a scientist and I like to experiment on my body and things like that. So I'm like, cool. I am not doing it for weight loss reasons, which I think a lot of women do it for those reasons. And for those women, like if they're doing it for those reasons, 90% of the time, they're already in a state where their calories are quite low because they want to lose weight. So their mindset, like they understand less food equals weight loss. So then they're like, okay, I'm going to starve myself. And also I'm not going to eat too much. So they're in this extreme caloric deficit, which if you have to use your brain, if you're walking, even exercising is too restrictive. So their body just ends up shutting down essentially. And then it's not working for what they want. But yeah, so for me, I'm kind of doing it to cleanse and just like purify my body a little bit more. And yeah.
That sounds fun. I love it because I love a challenge and I think it's fun. I challenge myself to see how far I could go, and just because I like doing that, I compete against myself. Amita, what do you from a metabolic state, like are there things that people who are intermittent fasting, are you trading energy to be able to work out and things like that? Because I have a metabolism like a snake. But
first, I think the main thing is, because you did touch on, yes, the most common reason for intermittent fasting is weight loss, and it actually does work for the first 4 to 6 weeks. But after that, the data shows that it actually doesn't work anymore. So your body essentially gets used to it. And it's like, okay, that's fine. If you're going to starve me until, 10 a.m. or 12 p.m., I'm just going to get used to that. And I'm going to hold on to my energy when I need to. And I'm not going to end up losing weight. So just for those that are interested in losing and usually it's like 5 or 10 pounds max on the intermittent fasting weight loss. But yeah, you got to really be careful because just like the weight loss medicines, you can become malnourished. Now, if you're only doing it for 4 to 6 weeks, that's fine. You will be calorie deficient and probably nutrition deficient or nutrient deficient, just because it's hard to get in all those nutrients and calories into that 8 hours, to be honest. But it basically, your body gets used to it. Your body gets used to whatever you're doing. Like you'll hear lots of people that are overweight. I hear lots of people that are overweight that only eat 1 meal a day, right? But then we talk about other drinks or sodas during the day or coffee or like all these other things that you're like, oh, I didn't even realize, or what they're eating during that 8 hours or during that 1 meal. I just literally had a patient yesterday was telling me I only eat 1 meal, even though it's fast food. And I think MyFitnessPal is probably my favorite tool. It's technically for journaling, but I use it for education and just learning, because you can put in all the different kinds of fast food restaurants or even just restaurants. And it'll tell you, if you're going to pick a chicken sandwich, pick the one that's not 1,200 calories. Pick the one that's 600 calories. I'm not saying never have fast food. Or the frozen pizza. There is 12 different kinds of frozen pizzas at minimum. So actually spend some time and maybe that's all you do this week is when you're educating yourself in the grocery store. In general, I tell people to educate themselves in the grocery store. One section is the frozen pizza section, because everyone needs a frozen pizza at some point in their life. Mm-hmm. So pick the right one. And also the trail mix section. Mm-hmm. There are 50 different kinds of trail mix, and some are heart healthy and some are not, and some have chocolate and some don't, and some have lots of sugar and sodium and some don't. But just educate yourself in that section only. And I think that is really eye-opening, and you'll start to once you do that, it's shocking, and you'll start.
You can't unknow it.
Trader Joe's is a really easy place to go to. That I really recommend people to go there too, because there's a lot less choices, first of all. So and most of the time you're getting pretty, clean eating, even in the frozen section or whatever. So
agreed.
Without too much more rambling, I say go to Trader Joe's, download MyFitnessPal, and try different diets.
I like Chronometer or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Chronometer.
It has the only reason I like that is because it has minerals at the bottom.
Yeah.
Good point. Which is fascinating, because I think, a lot of people who count calories, that's cool. You're counting your calories and you're counting your macros. But then you look down at the bottom and you're like, whoa, I'm missing this nutrient, this mineral. Yes. And I'm a big, big, big believer in us making sure that we have all the vitamins and minerals that we need, but not too much of, the minerals that our body, isn't utilizing. So that one's cool too. Ladies, this was fun. This was a good talk. I enjoy hearing other people's feedback, and it's fun having a doctor on the panel. So you can hear the science behind what we should or shouldn't expect.
It's always good to get the validation.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.